podcast called The One. Hi, it's Rob Moore here, and I am with Ed Jaffer, and Ed's surname is spelled D-J-A-F-E-R. He doesn't want to get mixed up with Jaffa Cakes, which he's never heard before. Ed Jaffer, D-J-A-F-E-R. Now, Ed has a brilliantly titled podcast called The One Percenters. What a great name for a podcast. And I'm privileged to be here being interviewed by Ed today on business and fitness and dealing with burnout and health and wellness around business and entrepreneurship. Ed, it's a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me, and I'm all yours.
Thank you so much, Rob, for that lovely intro. Really appreciate it. Rob, I've been a big fan of yours for a number of years now. I've been following you on, I think it was LinkedIn we first connected, and yeah, I've just been stalking you on Facebook and Instagram, all over the place nowadays. Love your content, just get so much value from it. And the reason I asked you onto my podcast was because I believe you've given me so much value over the years, and I'd like to share that with my audience now. Some of which who will already be connected with you, and others that perhaps don't know who you are. So I guess my first question to you, for those that don't know who Rob Moore is, tell us a little bit about who Rob Moore is. Tell us a little bit about your background and what it is you do.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm 41. I started entrepreneurship properly when I was 26. My dad had a nervous breakdown in his pub while I was working there when I was 26 years old, when I was in 50 grand's worth of credit card debt and my life had kind of drifted away into nothingness. And in that moment outside his pub, when he was getting beaten up and arrested by the police and sectioned, I took a long, hard look at myself and my life and where it was going. And I'd always been raised by my dad to be an entrepreneur. He used to get me bottling up on the shelves from the night before in the pub and counting the money from the pool table and the take the night before in the till and on the pinball machine. And I was like 6 years old when he was getting me doing all this. But then I got sort of stuck in the school system, as some people do. Now, that's great. If you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, an accountant, school journey, university degree, master's, that's probably the best route. But if you want to be a bit of a disruptive entrepreneur and start and scale your own business and be a bit more of a like on the street hustler, if you like, school's just a square peg round hole. And I got stuck there. And I didn't ask myself enough what I wanted to do with my life, and just allowed other people to sort of drive my journey, if you like. And so I'm 26 years old. I'm 50 grand in debt. My life's going nowhere. I'm a bit complacent, arrogant. I'm a bit of a loser. And then all of a sudden, I saw what happened to my dad as a greater reason to pull my finger out and actually do something meaningful with my life. So the next, 15 years, it's a long story, Ed, and I don't want to sort of take the whole podcast episode on, bleating on about me, but just to answer your question, since then I've written 18 books and I've got another 3 that I'm writing, so that'll be 21. Many of those have been national or global bestsellers. I have 2 podcasts called The Disruptive Entrepreneur and Money, which combined now have over 750 episodes, and I've interviewed more than a dozen billionaires and some of the biggest names in this country. In fact, in the world, some of them. I interviewed the biggest star of Game of Thrones. I interviewed the biggest star on BBC TV. So that's been a cool little passion profession merge. I became a millionaire between the age of 30 and 31. I remember that because I was pissed off that it wasn't before 30, because I just thought before 30 millionaire, that sounds cool. And it was before 31, which sounds not as good. I missed the decade. And whilst I love money, don't get me wrong, I don't really focus on my net worth so much anymore. I became a millionaire and then a decamillionaire. And then after that, everything is just cherry on the cake. But it was an important goal for me in my 20s. So I'm pleased I hit that milestone. I have the UK's largest property training company called Progressive Property, which is something I'm very proud of. It's a really community-based property training company. I have a massive community on Facebook, and we're very engaged with our audience. I have a company called Progressive Success, which is a business and personal development company. I broke 2 world records for longest public speeches, individual and team. And nowadays, I'm a dad of 2 kids. I've got a helicopter license. Probably need to freshen up on that a bit, but I can fly the helicopter. And I spend more of my time nowadays, because we have nearly 100 staff and those training businesses look after themselves. I spend most of my days just writing and sort of building my personal brand on social media and giving value and doing interviews. It'll be my third today, this one, because I enjoy that side of life because it's just fun. And so it's not really work. I've retired a few times. I've retired 5 times between the age of 27, 28 and then 41. And I have about 750 properties with myself and my business partner that we own, co-own and manage. And I think we've got about 210 rental units that we'll be putting it onto the market in the next sort of 18 months that we're developing. So yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I do lots of different things, and I think that's what an entrepreneur is, aren't they? Does lots of different things. You know, I'm unemployable. I hate being told what to do. I like to do the opposite of what everyone tells me to do. I probably annoy the shit out of everyone. I'm chaotic as fuck, but I love my life.
There you go. Who can argue with that incredible CV? Only 750 properties.
Yeah, well, look, I don't own them all myself. You know, a lot of them are in partnership with other people, but you know, I'd have about 5 if I did it all myself. But yeah, we've got a letting agency as well. That I think it's the second biggest letting agency in our city. Property is a great thing. It's a great thing. Actually, property was the thing that was the springboard for everything else that I just said. I also have a foundation, the Rob Moore Foundation. I've just been made a board member with the Prince's Trust, and I'm doing a Young Entrepreneur Summit on February the 6th, 2021, all for charity. So I'm trying to do more giving back now as well.
Yeah, incredible CV, and like that's over. Is that 15 years? Like from 26 to age 41 now, from 50 grand in debt to what you've achieved today is incredible. What advice would you give? How have you done that so fast? What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who see that and think, wow, I'd love to do that? What tips? I suppose probably tips doesn't do that justice, but what advice would you give to scaling so fast?
Yeah, well, look, there are people that have done more than me in less time and people that have done less than me in more time. So, time's not really such a thing, is it? I don't think you should be in a rush. And I was in my 20s, and I think I'm more patient now. Things take time, but not a lifetime. You don't plant a seed and go back the next day and go, well, where's my fucking tree then? Got scammed, got ripped off. Where's my tree? Give me my goddamn tree. You have to plant the roots, don't you? They have to grow deep before you see the fruits. So I would probably not focus on time. I would focus on doing what you love and making a difference to others. So find a business model you're excited about. For me, it started in property. But each time I wanted to get excited about something else, I allowed myself to, whether it's podcasting or writing books or building a training company or building an online personal brand. They're all things that I love to do. And I allowed myself to merge them as passion and profession, not just hobby, but not just like boring business as well. I think if you can merge your passion and profession, you'll have longevity. And if you have longevity, you'll actually paradoxically do things quicker. So the right business model that works, something that you really enjoy doing and you're inspired to do. And then look, I had a bit of a shit morning this morning. And I have ups and downs like everyone else. Now, it was first world shit, no one died. And I always remind myself of that, Ed, when if your podcast downloads are rubbish or your social media reach is crap or your sales aren't good this week, you can kind of, play your own violin, can't you? And feel a bit, or that you're not good enough or beat yourself up. And hey, look, entrepreneurs, we're often actually not very kind to ourselves. We're often beating the shit out of ourselves. But I think it's really important to remind yourself that you're still living, you're still breathing, you still got your kids, you still got your family. Even if business is hard, you've still got it. And remember all the things that you're grateful for. But as an entrepreneur, I believe you have to face rejection every day. I believe you have to face shame and ridicule and criticism every day. And if you're not facing that every day, then you're not out there enough and you're not growing enough and you're not doing enough.
It's a very sort of interesting way of looking at it, where you see a lot of entrepreneurs shy away from that, exactly what you've just described. They don't want to be ridiculed. And for that reason, they don't put themselves out there as much. What you've achieved a lot in that time. What challenges, what lessons have you learned along the way?
Oh man, like I've had a lobotomy. I've learned so much. My brain, I don't know if it's even like it was when I started. I've learned that managing your emotions is one of the most important things in business. Like, I don't know if are you a parent, Ed?
I am. I've got 2 boys. Yeah.
Okay. So you know what it's like when you're a dad. 6 days and 23 hours of the week, you parent well, you're calm, you don't act like a child when your children are acting like children. You don't lose your shit on them. You don't blame them. You don't shout at them. And that 1 hour in the week when you lose your shit, when you're knackered, when things are going well, and you just have a right go at them, and then you've ruined the whole week. And parenting, I think, is much like business. I see so many people who, one day, 1 hour, one post on social media, one reaction to a client, and they're just ruining everything because they're not handling their emotions very well. They're not taking criticism very well, or they're reacting angrily and defensively to people, or they're getting in debates and arguments and fights. Or some people do the opposite. They go inward and they retreat and they hide and they don't feel worthy. And so managing your emotions, and when you're having a good day, keeping yourself cool, saying, you know what, I might have had a good day, but it doesn't make me a genius. And then when you have a shit day, go, do you know what, I've had a shit day, but that doesn't make me a failure. And sort of almost like detaching who you are with what you do. So my podcast downloads this morning were way down. And so I started to think, oh, my podcast is shit. It's a good podcast.
It's a very good podcast.
My downloads don't define me. Your sales don't define you. Your reach doesn't define you. The number of followers you have doesn't define you. What defines you is, do you do good quality work? Do you help people? Do you have a good business model? Do you have a meaningful message? Are you doing your best to serve people on a daily basis? So managing your emotions, you manage your emotions well, you'll manage your business well. That's number one. I think the next thing is the difference between hard work and smart work. There's a lot of advice out there about the hustle, the grind, the 10X, the hashtag no days off, working 24/7, 365 for 10 years to be an overnight success, motherfucker. No. You do not have to kill yourself to be successful. I would even argue if you hustle hard for a few years, you'll burn out. And I know you want to talk about that, Ed. Or you'll lose your passion and enthusiasm for your business model. Footballers and really successful sports people, all the new science is saying the people who have the longest career and do really well professionally are those who rest and recover the best. And it always used to be those who train the hardest. No, you train hard, get an injury, you're out. Like with footballers, a massive decision-making process in buying a footballer is what's their injury record like? Because there's so many great footballers who have just been, riddled with injuries, and actually they're not great footballers. Yeah. So actually longevity and managing your health and your energy and your fitness, these are vital. I could go on for many other things I've learned, Ed, but I know you want to get into burnout on the health side. So why don't we go there?
We will do, yeah. It's exactly the same. What you're describing in business is the same with what I teach in fitness. It's really important about, managing your emotions, because you might get 2 or 3 weeks into a program, you haven't lost any weight, and that can be very demotivating. All those voices in your head say this doesn't work, but it's about just doing working hard, being consistent, and just putting the trust in the process. And like I say, longevity is normally where the results are at. But yeah, let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about health and fitness. I know health and fitness is something you are passionate about. I saw a picture the other day of you on social media when you was a young child, when you was a schoolboy, and you was how can I describe it? You was a little bit chubbier than you are today. So I know you've gone on a journey of weight loss yourself, and we see a lot of entrepreneurs, giving their life and soul to being successful in business, and often it's at the expense of everything, the expense of their family, and at the expense of their own health, working 12, 15, 20 hours a day, just neglecting their health, giving their all to their business. I've done it, I've been there, but often at the detriment of their health. So what advice would you give to those entrepreneurs with regards to their health?
Well, look, health is wealth, isn't it? And I think in the 80s and 90s, and even to a certain degree today, there's been a lot about the hustle and the grind and the working hard and outworking everyone. But I think if you could fast forward your life when you're 70 and 80 and see where that takes you and then go back and change your trajectory, you probably would. So for me, it's difficult because I am impatient and I want to really, really scale and make a difference. And I've got one life and I don't want to waste any time. And, you know, I am a bit competitive and I do like to make sure I'm doing the best I can to be the best I can. But at the same time, I am allowing myself to rest more. Like I've worked so many weekends. For me, what's a weekend? A weekend is just another day. It's not the end of a week where you don't work. But I'm allowing I spend family time on the weekends. I don't do anywhere near as much work. I might check in. I might think. I might do a couple of calls just to sort of, you know, keep myself from going insane and eating the children. But longevity is everything. Warren Buffett, you know, his wealth curve went like sort of up a tiny bit to 50 and then exponential growth to 80 and 85. And actually, when you look, I think he was worth about 10 million when it was 50, which with inflation is still a lot, but, you know, he might have been worth 1 million in his 20s. So the growth looked slow and then it went exponential, but that's how growth works because of the law of compounding, which is exponential. So he said the two reasons he's very successful is compounding on good genes. And really what you could summarize that to be is a long time doing something consistently. I think Bruce Lee said, I'm not afraid of someone who can do or who does 10,000 different kicks, but I am afraid of someone who does the same kick 10,000 times.
Yes.
So I think consistency, longevity, which means rest, it means recuperation, it means, you know, getting inspired in other ways, like going for long walks and having interesting conversations and art and culture and film and music and taking inspiration from everywhere, not just, you know, being like myopic just in your one space. I think I like to do hard work in short, sharp bursts, hour and a half, 2 hours deep work, and then an hour or two off, and then repeat that process. Managing your energy. People always ask me about energy because they perceive I have a massive amount of energy. And actually, I think I do compared to a lot of people, although I do make sure I sleep a lot. I mean, you know, it seems basic now, but way before all this science of sleep, like 20 years ago, I was saying, you've got to get good sleep. And everyone was talking about these trying to sleep 5 hours a day, and Margaret Thatcher and Donald Trump and all these people pumping out all this. You don't have to sleep much, but maybe them. But it also could be their genes. It could be their lifestyle. How much were they moving all day? How much energy were they burning all day? Because if someone's sitting down all day, you probably don't need as much sleep. Bodybuilders, weightlifters, and people who do loads of fitness and exercise who need to repair their body, they need to sleep longer. So I really believe in 7-8 hours plus of really good sleep, but I've kind of always slept well, and then recovering well. But actually, I think the thing that gives me the most energy is doing something I love, and I think passion is radiant. And when you love what you do, I think that you have an energy that is attractive to others. And, you know, give a really enthusiastic, bubbly, happy person a job they hate, and you'll just see their shoulders drop and just wait for it to be. Whereas give anyone something they love to do, you know, kids playing computer games till 3 or 4 in the morning, people working all through the night, you know, trying to work out an equation or something in biology or coding, you know, those coders who code through the night because, you know, they love their work. That
you lose track of time. You just don't
exactly. So that you're in that flow state, that deep work state. So I think doing what you love actually gives you the most energy. I mean, I'm trying to eat pretty good, but I used to be more strict than I am. But for me, it's about enthusiasm, passion, and enjoying life.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to that longevity thing. The things we enjoy, we tend to spend more money on. We spend more hours doing them. We do them more often when we do what we love. So when you run a business you love, you don't mind working 12, 15 hours a day. You don't get as tired doing it. So yeah, enjoyment and passion is definitely key. Same with fitness as well. why go to the gym if you don't like going to the gym? You're just going to see it as a chore. You know, do a sport or an activity that you like, and then you're more likely to want to do it.
Yeah, merge your passion and your profession.
Definitely agree with that. Now we're seeing like a big shift nowadays with COVID. We're seeing a big shift in the way we work, the way we do business. What advice would you give to someone thinking of starting out a new business now during the current climate?
Well, actually, I think if you start a business now in this current climate, then you've got a great advantage, and it's a great time to start. It's like the field that you wanted to plant seeds in was covered in crop before, and now it's been ploughed, and there is fertile soil to plant your seeds in. So you don't need a huge overhead. A lot of businesses are struggling. Your competitors are struggling. A lot of businesses are maybe going under. So actually, right now is probably a great time to start. So I would say make sure you have that mentality that it's a good time to start. Leverage low overhead businesses like e-commerce and social media and being a digital agency and information marketing and all of those business models. You don't need premises, you don't need stock, you don't need leases, and you don't need loans. And then get yourself out there and put yourself out there more. Do podcast interviews. Start a podcast and interview people. Get a YouTube channel and interview people. Put content out there daily. Do live videos to your community. Do more social media posting on content. So, get more prolific, put yourself out there more. If you add those two recipes together, then actually it could be the best time to start a business.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely. Rob, this has been amazing. We've done 22 minutes in, and even in that short time, you've shared a ton of value, a ton of gold. I guess one sort of final question: what would be sort of your big takeaway, your core message that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Okay, I'm going to leave you with two things, and one is because predominantly entrepreneurs follow me. I would say that marketing is the single most important function of any business. And let's say you're a great personal trainer or you're in the health and wellness space. If you are not good at marketing, then someone else is getting all the clients and you're not. And it's not always the best personal trainer has the most clients. It's often the best marketer has.
Very true. I've been saying that for years.
100%. So, if you have a shop, the selling and the product is selling to someone who comes in the shop, and you can be great at that. But marketing is getting them in the shop in the first place. Best shop, best product, no one in it, no business. Everyone in it, queuing to get in it, massive, oversubscribed business. So that would be the first thing. And then the thing I always finish on in all of my content is a phrase I have called, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. And I would say that just put yourself in some ever increasingly comfortably uncomfortable situations. Take some risks. You might fail, you might look stupid, you might make a mistake, you might be embarrassed, you might feel some shame, you might not be perfect at your marketing or creating your new product or putting your message out there or doing your live videos or whatever. But if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. And so I don't want people to get that confused with, often people say, go all in or go big or go home. I don't think life is not binary. You don't either go big or go home. They're not the two choices. There's a lot of in between, and you don't have to go all in. I've never put all into anything. I've never put all my time into something. That's a fallacy, because people say I put everything into my business. Well, no, you don't, because you sleep more than you work. So actually, you put more into sleep than you are into work. So you don't have to go all in. You can have a balanced life. You can have a relationship with your kids and be healthy and run a business. You can. All right, you can't do 20 things, but you can do a few things well. So you don't have to go all in on one thing. But what I think you do have to do is put yourself in uncomfortable situations regularly to grow that muscle of threshold of risk and discomfort, so that ultimately you can grow.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they call you this disruptive entrepreneur. Going against the grain of what people believe. People believe they should be going all in. People believe in fitness, they need to go on a restricted diet and work out 2 hours a day. It's less is more at times, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
definitely. Rob Moore, thank you so much for taking this time to chat with me and my audience and your audience. It's been a fantastic chat with you. For those that are not connected, what's the best way to connect with yourself, Rob?
So my podcast is called The Disruptive Entrepreneur, and you can find that everywhere, Stitcher, iTunes, Google, etc. I've written loads of books: Money, Life Leverage, Start Now, Get Perfect Later. And then if you just search my name, Rob Moore, ROBMOORE, into any search engine or social media channel, you'll find my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, etc.
Fantastic. Rob, thank you so much. A ton of value once again, and really appreciate you taking this time. And yeah, thanks for all that have tuned in.